What is up, my little ponies, and welcome back to another video. Now, this video is one I'm anxious and excited to do as it is all opinion. I'm also trying something new out with this PNG tuber because I wanted to actually start involving more of my art in the background. I want to start kind of incorporating speed paints into my B-roll a lot more. Now, whether or not this PNG tuber is here to stay, I genuinely don't know. I do like it, but I more so just wanted to do this because I felt it would be a little jarring for me to include speed paints in a video and then just kind of have me like a Twitch reaction in the bottom. So I hope you guys like this PNG tuber. This is my pony Sona. Now, without gushing about it too much, let's get into the video. So ships. We all know what they are, and if you don't know what they are, which I personally, in the year of our Lord 2025, don't know how you could not know what a ship is. Regardless, I'll give you a definition anyways. So, shipping is the act of wanting / supporting two individuals involved in a romantic relationship, which essentially, to like put that in layman's terms, means that regardless of canon, other people's feelings, however, what you personally see two characters and you think, boom, these characters should be together forever. That is essentially a ship. You want them to be together. And there's actually one more term I'm going to give a very brief definition on that is within the subcategory of shipping, which is pro shipping. Pro shipping is what would be considered an illegal ship in real life. And unfortunately, since my Little Pony is no exception to the fact of the fandom has a very large shipping base. They also have a lot of pro ships that I regret to say for some reason are popular. I don't know why a pro ship would be popular, but unfortunately there are actually popular pro ships within My Little Pony, and I will not be talking about those, will not be commenting on those, because I think we can all agree that Rainbow Dash X Scootaloo is objectively wrong. It's just wrong. We can all say that and agree on it, so I won't be talking about that, but I will be commenting on two Spike ships. That is the only Spike ships I will be commenting on, and one of them everybody knows what it is, and the other one is a meme. So I really hope that you guys did not come here expecting me to give some kind of outlandish opinion on any kind of pro ships, and I would also like to say that my comment section is not a debate place on whether or not pro ships are okay. Pro ships, in my mind, are not okay and will never be okay. But let's get into it. So the first part of this video is going to be me talking about and ranking fanon ships, and then the second part of this video is going to be me talking about and ranking canon ships. Now, hopefully, and I say this so hopefully, my opinions will not be that controversial. I really do feel like my opinions will be the majority, so this is more just a fun little video while I work on my next video. So first off, we're going to start with my all-time favorite ship within the fanon, which is Flutterdash. I mean, obviously growing up liking both of these ponies a lot, it just always kind of made sense to me that they would be best friends to wives, as I kind of really felt that Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy were like the ultimate end goal. I always imagined that, Rainbow Dash could teach Fluttershy to be more confident in flying and curious about things that would take her out of her comfort zone instead of her being forced out of her comfort zone. And I always really in my head thought that like Fluttershy would teach Dashy to kind of like slow down and smell the roses, so to speak. I mean, it really always feels like to me, without gushing about it too much, that Flutterdash is the ultimate pairing within ships between the main six, in my opinion. So, Rarajack is a ship I think we were all pretty surprised that it didn't end up being canon. I mean, with every blushing interaction between each other, and not to mention their equestrian counterparts' love interests looking almost just like each other, I'm still just gobsmacked that they end up together. I mean, if you're an OG, you know that sleepover episode was just absolutely nothing casual. I mean, the absolute fanfics that were written about that are insane. I mean, not to mention, I can just imagine Applejacks wanting to help and Rarity's generosity, and their combined business knowledge, they would open the most successful apple farm ever and have like cute little offshoots with like apple themed merchandise made by Rarity. I mean, and I like to think also that their relationship was the best in terms of teaching each other the importance of their perspective things, like Rarity teaching Applejack to appreciate the finer things, while Applejack teaching Rarity to be utilitarian. I mean, it goes without saying that this should have been the relationship we got, so we will just leave it at that and say that it is in the top of my OTP, second only to Flutterdash. Now, I know this one is technically in between Rarajack and Flutterdash, but that's just because I kind of ordered this a little bit wrong by accident. But, Trixie and Starlight were never made canon. I mean, there's never any mention of them actually being like romantically interested in each other that I can think of. I couldn't find anything in the comics or in the show, but we all know that they are wives. I mean, come on, Trixie and Starlight are a very good pairing in my mind. Somehow they challenge each other and validate each other without ever finding themselves in an echo chamber of their own opinions, which I find really interesting because not only did Trixie and Starlight really kind of like help each other become better ponies, I feel like they really helped each other open up to being friends with other ponies as well, because genuinely I just don't think Starlight would have made all of the friends she did if Trixie didn't open her up to knowing that, she was an actual lovable pony. Therefore, they're wives in my mind. So, Derpy and Dr. Hooves are another one that I'd love to say are canon, but they're technically not, so I have to include them in the fanon section. They have always been in my top 10 favorite My Little Pony ships, mostly because I love Doctor Who and Derpy as an individual so much, but also because I feel that Derpy would have genuinely kept the equestrian version of our Doctor, more aware of his actions, having a disabled companion without getting too on a tangent about Doctor Who. I felt he kind of often forgot the humanity of the things he was dealing with and took it too fast. So I feel like having a companion like Derpy would really make him kind of slow down and think about what he was doing a lot more and maybe consider the little person more than the greater person, so to speak. And who doesn't like to imagine them going on little adventures together with just that as that as the concept. I mean, I personally love imagining the Weeping Angels episode and the Weeping Angels being confused because they don't know where Derpy is looking, so they just can't move and the doctor is like, "Yes." Now, Cadence and Chrysalis are a ship that I would like to say is actually my favorite villain hero pairing in the My Little Pony fandom. Now, I do admit that the only way this would work was if being captured by a giant changeling queen was Cadence's gay awakening. So, for the sake of the ship, I'm gonna say it was. I just love imagining the power couple they could be. With Cadence being theoretically the embodiment of love, she could be a battery for Chrysalis. And if they actually loved each other, just imagine how powerful Chrysalis would be. I mean, they would literally dominate all of Equestria in my mind, and the absolute unstoppable force that those two would be would just nom 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 nom. I love it. Twilight and Rainbow Dash are actually a ship I personally like. I have always thought it would be cute for them to kind of be like in a little relationship, and I know it would never happen in the show, but in my mind they are both different types of competitive, and Twilight, I think, would surprise Rainbow Dash a lot by winning games with her book smarts, so to speak, and just kind of like really pulling out the stops. And I just really think that this would have led to some nice, intense situations between the two that could have maybe had some romantic underlies. Like, I don't know, for me specifically, there was an episode that really cemented this ship in my heart as a kid, and it was the episode where Twilight is trying to teach Rainbow Dash stuff about the Wonderbolt Academy, and they're just kind of flying together. I don't know, that just always really made me think, like, they would be a cute couple. Now, Twi-Pi is what I actually like to call a cozy ship. It's one of those ships that everybody enjoys, everybody likes imagining. I mean, it's one of those ships that we were given a lot of content, so to speak, for throughout the entirety of the series. I mean, there's a lot of interactions between them that could be taken as romantic. And, you know, who doesn't like to imagine, like, Twilight up late, studying, trying to get some work done, and Pinkie Pie brings her some baked goods with some sweet, sweet coffee to keep her up throughout the night while they snuggle and do the work. I mean, this is just, in general, a nice ship that I think a lot of people like seeing because it has a very warm feeling about it. Now, this one might be a surprise to you guys, but I actually do ship Chaos Celestia. Now, the reason I ship this is because I like to think in the younger days of Equestria, while Star Swirl was raising Celestia, because if you didn't know, go watch my timeline video on Celestia. Star Swirl the Bearded raised Celestia, and she was kind of defiant to him at the beginning. Not really defiant, just kind of mean. And I like to think she would have dated Discord in a I'm dating the bad boy to piss off dad type of way, you know? It's just a cute little ship that I generally like to think about. Okay, so I have a confession to make. Soren Dash is a ship that I still love, but it's more in a nostalgic way than I actually do ship this. I shipped it a lot more when I was a kid because, you know, it is the original Rainbow Dash street ship. Everybody shipped it at one point, but as I got kind of older, this ship felt a little icky to me, only in the sense of don't meet your idols, so definitely don't sleep with them. I mean, if we're gonna talk about Rainbow Dash after she's joined the Wonderbolts, yeah, I am all for this relationship, but pre her joining the Wonderbolts, this relationship just feels like it would be very imbalanced. And that is not at all me saying that I do not ship this. I still very much do, but in more of a nostalgic way than anything. Okay, so Luna and Sombra is kind of a guilty pleasure ship that I like to think about because I can see it happening in a world where Luna never turned good and remained as Nightmare Moon. I mean, they both had similar wants, and while I personally believe that their marriage would be more political than anything, I feel like they would have that trope of being two very evil characters whose only soft spot is each other, but like they don't show it to everyone else. I don't know, it's just like a really cutesy little idea that I like toying around with in my head sometimes, and occasionally I draw ship art of it, but none of it is good, so I did not include it in this lol. Okay, this is where we're gonna start getting into some differing opinions from what I think are good ships and my opinions on why I think they're not good ships, if so. So, strap your boots on. Rainbow Pie is a ship that I can see. I can see why people ship it, but I personally don't agree with people shipping this romantically. I feel they have more of a sibling relationship. The pranking, their constant hanging out. I mean, the way that Pinkie Pie goes out of her way to hang out with Rainbow Dash like a little sister bugging a big sister. I mean, I just will never understand shipping these two in a romantic relationship personally, but I can see why. Moondancer and Twilight is an interesting ship that I can see why people ship it, but for me, it feels like a step away, or a hoof step away, if you will, from self-cessed. And I know that you might be a little surprised to hear me use that word, but Twilight and Moondancer are essentially the same pony recolored, and I just don't really like the idea of thinking of them in any kind of a romantical relationship. Twilight and Starlight are one of those ships that I feel like a lot of people really like because it's a cute idea. But I personally think that this ship is a little, for lack of better wording, inappropriate. I mean, if you think about it, Twilight essentially is Starlight's teacher and the one who kind of brought her back from social inactivity. So it would be a very, like, imbalanced relationship in terms of power, and they really do have more of a familial connection in my mind. I cannot understand why people ship this other than it's a cute idea, I guess, but it's kind of not, to me at least. Gilda and Rainbow Dash is a ship that I have always disliked purely because it's a boring ship. I mean, it would never work out. I mean, this ship is one of those things where anytime I read a fanfic about it, man, I would just be falling asleep because it was like Gilda mean, Rainbow Dash kind of mean, and they get along over it. Yay! I don't like this ship. I don't see it happening. I don't want to see it happening. Stop making it happen, please. So, there are a lot of people actually that ship Sombra and Twilight. Now, this ship is one of those ships that I would definitely never touch with a 10-foot pole, purely because the only way that this theoretical relationship, would ever work is if Sombra had either A, imprisoned her so she had Stockholm syndrome, or B, literally put her under control with his dark magic, because Twilight is too good for him. There is not a universe on this planet where Twilight would organically fall for that man. Therefore, this ship is toxic in my brain. I don't like it. Okay, so Cadence and Twilight is a ship that I would definitely like to call a pro ship. But because they're not related in any way, there is technically nothing wrong with shipping them. Personally, though, if you ask me, Cadence is literally shown, oh, I don't know, babysitting Twilight as a foal? Yeah, let that sink in for a second. Not to mention she goes on to marry her brother. You know, not Kate, you know what I mean. Like, this is just a ship that I find generally kind of disgusting. They have a big sister relationship, and depicting them as anything but comforting each other or like validating each other or just kind of like being there for each other, in my opinion, is just so weird. Now, Trixie and Twilight is a very weird ship because I've actually seen a fair bit of people shipping it for some reason, and I just genuinely can't understand this because even after the like fight that Trixie and Twilight have, after they see past their differences, even after Trixie comes to work at the School of Friendship, I can just never imagine them being anything but like maybe really good acquaintances. You know, I know that Twilight's the princess of friendship and all, but I don't think I could see her ever being even that platonically close with Trixie, let alone romantically. Okay, so I kind of have a confession that might make some of you dislike me. I never liked Sparkle Flash. It just never felt like something that would be actually maintainable within the show, and I know that a lot of you are going to say that that is just wrong. I don't want Twilight to have a boyfriend, but that's not true. This relationship literally would have never worked out between the Pony World Twilight and the Equestrian World Flash Sentry, because it would have ended up with her either having to divide her time between Equestria and the human world to be with the real Flash Sentry, or she would have had to settle for the equestrian version of Last Century, which knows nothing about her, which would have been her essentially walking up to this guy and being like, hey, you rizzed me up in another universe, let's go out on a date. Which I'm sure, like, would have worked out and everything in the show, but, like, it just didn't feel like an organic relationship that would be able to stay, if that makes any sense. Not that I hate this ship, I just dislike it. It wouldn't work out. Big Mac and Fluttershy is a very common ship from back in the day that I personally dislike, and it's only because I feel like people really only shipped them because they were both kind of quiet ponies and then just kind of slapped the label shy on Big Macintosh, which personally, I don't think Big Macintosh is a shy pony. He's just a pony or a Mustang, a few words, if you will, while Fluttershy is actually shy, like her name implies. I mean, the very few interactions they've had together aren't even really that cute, in my opinion. I don't know, it just feels like shipping two characters together for the sake of them having the same personality type. So here are the ships that I absolutely hate within the fanon, and I don't think they're going to be that controversial because I like to think I have the pretty common opinion when it comes to these. Rarity and Spike was a ship that the show implied very loosely, but not in the way of two adults liking each other, more in the way when you as a kid had like a crush on your local lifeguard, you know? And however, this did not stop weirdos from shipping them, and this is still honestly a very, very big ship, which I find disgusting. Spike is a kid. Sorry for the little accent I can't ever say. Disgusting! The regular way. If you're a Vine kid, you know what I'm referencing. But Spike is a child. A literal child. So the fact that people took this little kid having a crush on like their local lifeguard type thing to the maximum is insane to me. It's insane to me. Spike and Rarity are a ship that should have never really existed, and I partially blame the show for it because I think if they would have never implied that ship, that it would have taken a lot longer for people to get to that conclusion, because honestly, I think and I'm not saying that this would have stopped people from shipping Spike with people. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that I feel like it would have made people ship like younger characters with Spike first instead of them immediately going to ship Rarity and Spike together. Now, Twilight and Celestia is a pretty big ship for some reason. Don't know why. I very much dislike it. This is another one of those ships that I'd love to call a pro ship, but since they're technically not related, I can't. This ship is disgusting. Twilight and Celestia have a very mother-daughter-like relationship, and I am willing to fight you on that to the brink of my death. I will die on this hill. Celestia is Twilight's second mother, and implying that there could ever be anything romantic between them is kind of like borderline. I can't say that word on YouTube, but you know what I mean. I want to call this a pro ship. I think we all want to call this a pro ship, but they're not related, and it's not technically wrong, so we can't. We're going to call this a morally wrong pro ship in my books. Okay, so I bet you're wondering, because this is a bit of a tonal shift, why I saved this ship for last, but it's more for the meme than anything, okay? Now, Apple Spike. I know what you're thinking. What? Apple Spike? Some of you probably have never heard of this ship, and a lot of people probably have. Apple Spike is a ship that went crazy with The Daughter of Discord by Disney Fanatic, which, if you don't know, was a whole soap opera that I was absolutely in love with as a child. There was Daughter of Discord, Bride of Discord, Son-in-Law of Discord. I mean, they were the best. I definitely recommend going to check them out. I will link Bride of Discord in my description below for you guys. But within Bride of Discord came out a ship such as Apple Spike, and to my remembering, Disney Fanatic does age Spike up, but he's still a little bit of a child because they do comment on him liking an older pony and stuff like that. Um, so this is a difficult ship to kind of talk about. Like, obviously, this is a pro ship. I mean, if and no hate to Disney Fanatic, and I love you, Disney Fanatic, I really do. But this very much was a pro ship, even if he was aged up a little bit. There are multiple times that they talk about how they need to wait to be together, which is yicky. Um, and eventually, in Daughter of Discord, they do actually end up having kids together when Spike is old enough, but they had actually adopted children too together before that. And I know I just said go watch Bride of Discord, and I meant that. Do it. Just take it with a grain of salt when you see any Apple Spike moments, because even though this ship is bad, it's still funny. It's a sign of the times, and I would definitely recommend going to watch it. Like I said, I will link it in the bottom of my YouTube video, so make sure you check it out. I love you, Disney Fanatic. Okay, so that actually capped off our fanon part of this video, so let's get into the canon. Now, we all love Lyra and Bonbon as a ship. Who doesn't love this ship? Everybody, there's not even an argument need to be made here. They are just the best. Let's move on. Pinky Cheese, or as I like to call the ship, Pink Cheese, is amazing. I mean, this is a ship that I just love all around. I mean, growing up, I loved Weird Al. Weird Al was something that was always played in my house growing up. My dad loved his music, so obviously I heard a lot of it, which made me love it. And the first time I ever heard his voice come out of that My Little Pony's mouth, I just about literally exploded. And the fact that they ended up being together and having kids, I mean, watching their relationship develop throughout the show was just adorable. I like to think they are the best parents ever, and the only arguments that they ever have are over icing flavors and who gets to bake the kid's birthday cake. Like, genuinely, this is such a good ship, and who doesn't like to give Weird Al props for doing what we all wanted to do and marrying Pinkie Pie? Alright, now Fluttercord is a ship as old as time, if you catch my reference, and has many, I mean, many fanfics written about it. I mentioned it a little bit earlier about, Bride of Discord and that whole thing, and I think that will forever be one of my personal favorite reasons to ship Fluttercord. In terms of canon, I like that we see how Fluttershy keeps Discord real with what will actually get him the attention he wants, while he also kind of protects her. I also really love that the show constantly shows us that he tries to be the best version of himself for her, which who can deny how sweet that is? I really think Fluttercord is one of the best things to ever come out of these ship wars as a winner in terms of being canonized. And even though it's only very loosely canonized, I will say that Fluttershy and Discord are very much married. And no, 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 no. No, I won't be taking arguments on it. You're gonna make me cry. Okay, they're married, I promise. Cadence and Shining Armor is a very conventional ship, and I like to think they are actually a very well placed ship at that. I do love this ship, but only because it kind of puts a nice little bow on top of the royal family, if you will. Cadence being Celestia's niece, which if you haven't watched it, I'll plug it again. Go watch my Celestia video. Celestia at one point did adopt Cadence as her niece. Being married to Shining Armor, Twilight's brother, makes all four of the royals very loosely related, and I really just genuinely think that's a nice touch. It's a very good idea to have the word that all of the 4 biggest ponies in Equestria are kind of in a family. Now, I like Vinyl and Octavia, but I never really liked the idea of them being romantically together. Now, I know that the equestrian economy wasn't bad enough. They were living together for no reason. So I really have to believe they are canon. I think it is implied multiple times that they are canon. I really feel like they had more of a best friend type thing, and it felt more like opposites attract ship went a little crazy with this one. And that's not saying I don't like this ship. I do like this ship, but in a very platonic way. Maud and Mud are the most boring couple I've ever met. I do like them. Don't get me wrong. I only like them because they definitely deserve each other. But I felt like she never needed a boyfriend. I mean, I know that they brought him into this universe to teach Pinky a lesson, but it just felt so out of left field for it to be Maud who got a boyfriend. And while, yes, I'm sure everybody would have been really mad if we gave like one of the main 6 an actual boyfriend, I just really felt like we could have used some other pony other than Maud and then makes the lamest pony to ever exist, which is Mudbriar. And I know that's me hating on Maud as it is, because I don't like them, but I do like this ship in the way that they definitely deserve each other. Okay, Big Macintosh and Sugar Bell, right? I don't like them. It's a ship I dislike purely because I ship Cheerly and Big Mac myself. And, you know, if you're wondering why I didn't include this in the fanon ranking, it's because I tried to limit myself to only talking about very popular ships, and I don't really feel like Big Mac and Cheerly are that popular of a ship, so I didn't include them. But I personally really ship Big Mac and Cheerly. I felt like it made more sense to watch their relationship build over the background of the show instead of just suddenly being introduced to Sugar Bell as a romantical interest. I mean, not to say that she just came out of nowhere and was suddenly a romantical interest and we had no idea who she was, but I just feel like we never really saw enough romantic interactions between them. Like, most of their relationship development happens off screen and then boom, they're getting married, you know, like front and center. I mean, pretty much. I mean, there are a couple of episodes, you know, but like I just really felt like it would have made a lot more sense, in my opinion, to watch Big Mac build a relationship with Cheerly over the, you know, kind of love potion stuff. It's a idea that I like a far lot more than what we ended up actually getting, which was Sugar Bell and Big Macintosh. Oh gosh, I'm actually like anxious to give you guys this last one, and you know there's only one canon ship left to talk about, so I think you know what it is, but I don't like Apple Dash. You know, I mean, it's a ship that is every pony's favorite, but mine, as you can see, is Rarajack. I mean, in terms of shipping Rarity with anybody or Applejack with anybody. I mean, it's a safe ship. It's a safe ship shipping Rainbow Dash with Applejack because Applejack and Rainbow Dash have natural competitiveness. I mean, it was a ship that was very much implied by the show quite often. But if you ask me, I'm willing to argue that they implied Rarajack a lot more than they implied Apple Dash. And I know that there are going to be people that are willing to fight me on this, but Rarajack should have been our end game, not Apple Dash. I mean, granted, it's cute, but it's not that cute. They gave us the safest ship possible because there were so many interactions between Applejack and Rainbow Dash that the fans liked compared to the interactions between Rarity and Applejack. And I will, like I said, die on this hill that Rarity and Applejack were meant to be together. Their equestrian counterparts being in love with people that look just like them, and not to mention, you know, in the show, Rarity and Applejack both like ponies that look like them. I mean, this ship just shouldn't have ended up being what we got. We should have got Rarajack, and I will stand 10 hooves down on that. Alright guys, well I really hope you enjoyed this video and all the art I made for it. I'm going to try to start incorporating more of my art into my B-roll and kind of figure out if I want to start using this PNG tuber over appearing in my videos myself. Also, thanks for sticking around till the end of this video to hear about what I'm going to be making a video on next, which is the Rocket to Insanity comic dub, which, as you guys have already begun to expect, my videos take a little bit to get out, and if you have seen the video I'm talking about, you know this is going to take a while to dissect and kind of do what I want to do with this video, but I do plan on including some more like redrawn scenes of it in my next video, so I hope you guys really look out for that, and until next time, it was really fun on this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye, my little ponies!